Previously, an adventure awaits. You all had found yourselves at the Way Inn, a large travel stop heading south on the Trade Way. You made the stopover to attempt to make some coin with various jobs, and even found one long-term job of escorting a bunch of merchants up towards Fandalen. You then began to notice that Arthrid had disappeared, possibly on a quest to find a lost cat. You remembered the room he was going to was 120-something. You couldn't remember that last number. So you began knocking on doors, hollering up and down the halls to attempt to find him. To no avail. You then, seemingly at random, picked room 126 to attempt to see if he was in, as there was no response to the knock on the door. Upon entering, you found a middle-aged dwarven woman and an older human male up to some interesting things in the bedroom. And upon scaring the ever-living shit out of them, as Mercedes yelled housekeeping, casting blindness on him as he ran down the hallway, he seemed to have an unfortunate accident in running into the wall and falling to the ground, and his old, frail body not holding up too well. As eyes from the main tavern room started to converge upon you, the six of you ran, all end up finding your way, through various means, back to your room, though unfortunately Siegfried was captured by the guards. We pick up about this point an hour and a half or so after the incident. About 5 p.m. or so, the sun beginning to set over the Sword Coast. You all can still see out of your rooms, multiple guard patrols out front in the main walled compound of the Way Inn. The sound of guards roaming the hallways has seemingly ceased at this point, after you all had taken a short rest within your respective rooms. Currently Orsik, Jin, and Mercedes on the second floor in their room, and Kai and Juliet upstairs on the third floor in their room. No communication between these two groups, as it is still unknown where Siegfried is, or where Arthrid is, for that matter.
I was maxed the whole incident, so I'm going to take off my shirt and put the traveler's clothes and put back my shin guards, which I removed when I was doing the alchemy brewing, so I don't damage them. Oh, this would actually be the first time you guys see this.
Oh, do we get a face reveal finally?
What's that?
Mercedes would have noticed this when we were brewing. You would see the full tattoo on his left arm. It's spiraling around his arm from wrist to shoulder.
Ooh, that is some nice ink you have there.
It is some nice ink. I don't think I've ever seen a legit tattoo.
If you don't mind me asking, what does that tattoo represent?
You notice the way that it's going up the arm, it looks like black smoke as he lights his hand up. It matches the flames.
Interesting. That's when Orsik rolls up his sleeve and he too reveals a tattoo on his right forearm, and is of a rose in bloom. It doesn't have the stem or the thorns on it, but a more maroon color. And as he rolls up his sleeve, he says, I too have some ink. It's personal to me, as yours is too, probably. He rolls the sleeve back down.
Before he does that, I look at it. Is there any name on it?
There's no name on it.
Do I need to make a history check to recall where my room is?
It would be around a corner facing off to the side. Currently, the room you're in with Jin and Orsik is facing the front.
Wild companion, and I'm going to make a little weasel that has the white and then the ombre into the kind of darker gray, like my hair.
Should you check on Juliet and Kai first, or do you want to check on Siegfried's room?
I'll go to Juliet and Kai first and get intel. Also, I picked a name for it. Its name is Pestle. Well, I have two that I'm thinking of, Pestle and Mortar, so there'll be two different common familiars that show up.
That is adorable. Is that the tool?
Yeah, like named after the tool, because Mercedes would use that tool very
Ooh.
often. I'm going to go ahead and scoot it to the window, and I'm going to say, you know what to do, right?
Kind of just looks up at you
Go, go, go.
and
Be careful.
starts scurrying up the wall.
I'm going to let you know that if I go deaf and blind, I won't be able to hear you, but I could feel you. Like, if you were to, pat my shoulder to say, like, hey, hey.
I suggest you take a seat before you start.
Yeah, Orsik
Yeah,
will
like
pull up a chair and put it behind you.
Pestle can communicate to me, so it can let me know when it's reached Kai and Juliet. but I can see through its eyes.
How long does this last?
An hour.
Oh, interesting.
I can probably even suss out Siegfried's room. He's on the first floor, right? You have to time me. Like, if I've used more than 10, maybe 20 minutes, you gotta, like, tap me on my shoulder, let me know that I gotta move on.
Alright.
Juliet and Kai.
And she kind of shows you like her shoulder blades, and you see like some scars kind of like wrapping. You have a feeling she probably has a lot on her back, but some of it kind of peeks through her shoulder blades.
That's a lot of scars. Do they come with fun stories, or?
Some of them. This one, I accidentally fell off a cliff, landed in a tree. Hurt a lot. Don't recommend. You got any scars?
Not many. Are we worried about Mercedes? She hasn't come back yet, and she said she would come back.
Yeah. I don't think we should stay here. The
Right.
guards were mentioning that they're getting witnesses. I'm sure they know who is who in what room.
Kai, make a perception check for me. 15. As you listen out, you can hear talking in the hallway, but it sounds like maybe there's just guards stationed on the floor now, but they're not actively patrolling.
They're definitely out there, but I don't think they're doing anything.
Pestle makes its way up the exterior of the way-in, up a floor and off around the corner. It has a little bit of trouble navigating the sharp corner to go around to the other side, but eventually finds a way through and makes it over to the windowsill of Juliet and Kai's room and just kind of like butts its head against the window.
I'm gonna go open the window.
As you open the window, you see
I mean,
this
there's
little...
a murderer around, but like, sure, open the window, let him in, whatever.
They fly. I don't think murderers fly.
Maybe look out the window before you open it.
I'm
Don't
still just gonna open the window.
God damn it.
Without hesitating, you throw the blinds to the side and open up the window, and there's a little weasel just looking up at you.
Oh, hello.
It scurries inside the window and begins like scurrying up your leg and wraps itself around your neck.
I'm gonna give it little scritches. While I'm doing that, can I look outside the window real quick? What's my view?
So you have the side of the way-in that actually faces towards the gate that you guys came in from. That would be west, I believe. You see a lot of what Jin and Orsik were seeing. The guard patrols have calmed down a little bit, but there are still probably every 45 seconds to a minute groups of anywhere from 3 to 9 guards, clearly with purpose, walking around. And you see the bridge that you guys came in from is currently turned 90 degrees, so no one can walk in or out of the way-in compound. And the walls are currently full of guards armed with different types of weapons, mini trebuchets that are currently cocked back and ready. And actually, as you open the window, Mercedes, you would have felt this too. There's a slight chill that comes through very quickly within the past hour or so. Some type of cold front has set in, and you see cloud cover kind of blocking out the sun at this point in a kind of dark gray sky.
Pestle is trying to like touch her mouth with like little paws to be like trying to let her know like, hey, it's me.
I'm gonna close the windows real quick, and then does speak with animals work for a familiar?
Yes.
Ooh, that's a
Whilst
good
this
question.
is not a beast, it is a fey being. I would say sure. You can still speak with it.
Okay, then we'll like to speak with the animal.
Okay. This is the first time this creature has ever been summoned into existence. So whilst it has knowledge in such of the world, it still is kind of very new and almost a little bit childlike in a way of learning its surroundings and such.
Hello. How you doing?
Just kind of looks around. Fine. It was a little bit cold outside.
Yeah, it looks pretty dark.
I came here to deliver a message.
Oh.
Mercedes is okay.
Juliet. Mercedes good.
Yeah, she's like a good person, even though she killed somebody.
No. The weasel.
Mercedes, Pestle is like conveying this entire conversation to you through your connection.
Wait,
hell
so
is
is the weasel Mercedes? She does that. Sometimes she becomes animals.
You know what? No, it sounds different. I don't think it's her. Where is she? She's in Orsik and Jin's room?
You can see it kind of thinks for a second, and it goes, I think that's their names. Yeah.
Okay. Can you ask them if they know where Sig is?
I have future plans to go see.
Did they find Arthrid?
Mercedes, Pesto will ask you, who is Arthrid and have I found him?
I'm gonna have a short pause. I'm be like, no, I haven't found him. I honestly wasn't even all that concerned. And now I'm gonna feel like what's the word? A bum if I don't be concerned. Tell them you will do what you can.
I will do what I can.
Can you tell the group there's a chance that they know what we look like and we're up for murder?
Did my owner murder? This weasel is beginning to have an existential crisis, but forwards on all of the information to you, Mercedes.
Oh no.
Look, you have to understand, it was an accident. I honestly don't think I murdered him. I think he was dying of old age. I'm pretty sure if I could, I'm not trying to make a pun with this, but if I weasel my way into an autopsy situation, I could figure out how he died.
I believe you. You are a good person.
I know, and you're great too, and I'm very proud of all that you have accomplished so far. This is very exciting.
This world is very interesting of yours.
It is, isn't it? For brevity, I would tell Orsik and Jin what it is. I believe we are wanted for murder, and I will put the "we" in quotation marks, fingers included.
Up shit creek without a paddle, I see.
Oh, what a fun phrase. I will remember that one. How much time do I have left before I have to tell Pestle to move on to look for Siegfried?
Probably been about 10 minutes.
10 more minutes, yes.
Okay, good. I'll tell Pestle that I've conveyed the information and that I got 10 minutes on the clock before Pestle will need to move on to go look for Siegfried. And I will tell Pestle if there is a rain gutter, you should slide down it on the inside. It will make a quick access to the ground floor.
I have 10 minutes before I must slide down a rain gutter.
Love it. Did my little weasel friend let them know that his name is Pestle?
Yes. I will say, over the next 10 minutes, as time is up, you guys openly discuss possible plans. Both sides are filled in on what the other has done in the past hour and a half or so, and everyone is updated with everything that is needed.
Before Pestle leaves to check out Sig's room, if I still have speak with animal, can I also quickly talk to Shrooms and figure out, like, hey, sweetie.
Hi.
Oh.
I just want to say you did an amazing job. What else can
Thank
you do and how many
you.
times you can do it?
I can make noises like anytime I want.
Like you can make screams?
Sure.
That's good to know.
And I can make small images anytime I want too. Though big ones, I did that today. I think I can only do it once though.
Okay. That was a really good big image. And I'll just give her some pets and that's it.
And this entire time, you've had Zora kind of like on one shoulder and this weasel on the other. And as you guys are discussing, they make moves to like touch each other or bop each other, and then the other one does it. And they're both very much trying to figure out what the other is. They seem to, at some points, just like stare at each other, almost as if they're having a conversation, but none of you, even Mercedes, hear anything between the two of them. No sounds or anything else.
And I will communicate to Pestle that it is the 20-minute mark and he does need to move on.
Windows opened. Here you go, buddy.
See you later. And he starts running along the side of the building out of sight.
Don't get eaten.
What? And he disappears. Mercedes, are you watching in, or are you letting Pestle go on his own for
Probably after about 2 or 3 minutes of him moving about, I might let Jin and Orsk know what's going on. The eyes will sort of like, cloud over, like clairvoyant kind of way, and I'll like be talking like to them as you convey to me what they see.
Takes a little bit actually to find on the far corner of the building one of these drainage pipes that you described, and it's less of a pipe per se in this instance in this world, and more of just kind of there are makeshift wooden gutters along to try to protect from falling water along the edges of the building. But at this corner, there's kind of just a hole that both sides lead up to, and it just drops. There's no real gutter going all the way down. So after looking around for a little bit, he just decides to begin crawling down the building on his own, which pretty easily can do, attempting to try and follow the directions that you gave originally to where Siegfried's room is. And after a few minutes, we'll be able to find it. Hops up onto the kind of small little windowsill, just bops his head against the window. Though unfortunately, the curtains are drawn, so he cannot see inside.
He has keen hearing, so he could try to listen in.
He doesn't hear any movement through the window.
And then let the others know no activity in his room. We'll communicate to him one more time and see what the guard situation's looking like.
He turns around and looks from this windowsill out into the big open compound of the way in. There's pretty much still the same, multiple guard patrols going back and forth, still from different buildings. Seems like maybe the hustle and bustle is down a little bit. Walking along the side of the building, a 3-man guard patrol that comes around, and one of the guards kind of notices him sitting on the windowsill and turns and goes, "Oh, hi, little buddy," and walks up and will begin patting his head, and Pestle kind of just backs up into the window and doesn't really know what to do. Like, "What are you doing? I don't know you."
Just noodle it.
Pestle has no idea what noodling it is, as he just kind of like slunks down and just lets this hard hand of this guardsman tap on the head before the guards move on.
Oh.
Pestle kind of just shakes a little bit and conveys to you, "I didn't like that at all."
But you did a good job. Do you guys have any ideas before the time runs out? He can go as far as he wants. It's just I'll lose contact within 100 feet.
Best thing we can do now is try to gather information. If you can have the weasel at least follow some guards, and maybe we'll get some information about this murder.
Ooh,
Yes.
good idea. I will tell him to try to follow guards, but keep a far distance so they don't notice you. Be wise to hide. Listen for key phrases. Murder. Listen for that word, especially. Someone might have been murdered at the same time we accosted this man. So
This is why we need information about the murder, because right now we don't know if it's connected to our situation.
I'm not too keen on relying on animals, but if you trust him, I'll trust him.
well, he is an animal, but he's also magic, and I don't think that rule applies to magic animals.
I'll be honest with you, Mercedes. I know jack all about magic.
What
At
about you?
this point, you hear a thunk on your window.
Oh, Pestle's back. How much time do I have left on the hour before he disappears? Because we gotta move fast.
At this point, you can guess only a couple of minutes at most.
Give me the short version, quickly, Pestle.
As you reach out, he will let you know that he found the headquarters of the guard, and they have a murder suspect in custody. Some type of snake-like person is what the guards were talking about.
Oh, no.
The guards are looking for other witnesses to come forward, and the lockdown within the inn will soon be lifted. It is under question at this point whether or not the others in the hall were included or not in the actions that were taken, as it seems to be multiple differing witness statements, and they do have the dwarven woman inside the guardhouse and are getting her story currently still.
Ooh. I will tell Orsik and Jin this.
At this point, Pestle is gone.
Oh.
Once the lockdown is lifted, we could just go over to Juliet's and Kai's room, and I guess we could discuss further about what we're going to do.
This might be in our favor.
Hmm.
Once the guards leave the area, if you can create a small creature that can go through a door, maybe you can go into the room she was in and try to investigate any clues whether there was something shady going on between those two people.
Yes, any blackmail.
They don't know my face, because since I was masked, I would be the best to walk the hallways instead of Orsik.
Okay, and then just carry me around in your pocket. And just
I'm-
slip me under the door.
Both this group and Juliet and Kai, you hear on your floor guards beginning to walk up and down the hallways, seemingly hollering with some type of projection horn or some sort. The lockdown has been lifted. Thank you all for your cooperation. You are free to move around the inn and the tavern as you wish. If anyone has any information on the incident that occurred, please come forward to the guards. Otherwise, thank you for your cooperation. You hear some doors and more footsteps as many people begin making their way back to what is most likely an unfinished early dinner or late lunch that they left in the tavern this whole time.
Let me go walk out first since I'm the less conspicuous here. Since I don't have my mask on and I got the traveler's cloak on, I'm gonna wait until I don't hear footsteps outside and like slowly open the door. See if I see anybody in the hallways.
By the way, how handsome of a man is Jin?
Ooh, that's a good question. When Jin leaves, we're gonna kind of look to Orsik and be like, "Did you imagine he was gonna be as handsome as he was?"
Yeah, perhaps.
Takes a little bit for footsteps to calm down as there's now many patrons walking through. Though thankfully you're not on the first floor, and it seems like most made their way back downstairs to the tavern area. And it probably takes about 10 minutes after it was announced for all the footsteps to fade. You hear some down in the distance at the ends of the hallway, probably coming from the staircases as people from the third floor are going down. But you assume that after about that 10 minutes that your direct part of the hallway is clear enough to peek out.
Tell the party, wait for my signal, and I'm just gonna walk down the hallway normally, if it's clear.
As you walk down the hallway, you end up passing a couple of other guests. Half-elven couple are talking, and the female is like, "I'm starving, I need to get back down to my food," as they quickly hurry down the staircase. You don't see any signs of any guards, just many patrons moving throughout at this point.
I'm gonna slowly go back and signal them from the door.
Alright, that's our cue. Let's go.
And I'll kind of pull my braids up to my face to kind of look like a dwarven beard, because we're about the same height. Like, do you think I make a convincing dwarf?
Oh, you've got to meet one of my sisters. She will love that.
I may use this as a disguise. I will practice this. We are not very different in height. They could easily mistake me for a dwarf if I braid my hair a specific way.
Where are you all heading?
To the girls' room.
To the third floor.
Be stealthy as you go up there, or just blend in with the crowd as you move about?
I say just
I would
blend
want-
in.
Blend in.
Okay.
I would tell
Go ahead
Mercedes to
and-
take her hat and put it away.
Okay.
Right. I'm wearing a different attire.
My hair's untied, so it's down and I don't have my mask on.
You're a very handsome man, Jin.
Mm-hmm.
You should show your face more often.
But doesn't that kind of ruin the allure if he constantly does it all the time?
The three of you go ahead and make, I'd say, performance checks to blend in.
I'm gonna give myself guidance. I need it.
Wow.
Oh! Hell yeah!
Come on, man. For free.
Those looks pulled off.
I know, right?
Oh, yeah.
Orsik and Jin are two handsome men.
I got a 19 with my performance. We're a very stylish group.
The three of you walk out and very confidently begin to blend in with the demeanor of the rest of the crowd, which seems to be annoyance of the matter. Everyone has really not been informed. The only ones that know really what happened is your group, and then Juliet and Kai pulling the Karen on the guards. At this point, most of the third floor pretty quiet as you make your way to Juliet and Kai's room.
I'm gonna wait until the hallway is absolutely cleared, and then I'm going to knock on their door and whisper, "I will bear."
I love it.
Orsik sighs. Oh,
Oh, what a wonderful
Juliet and Kai.
code.
Were you expecting an owlbear?
I didn't know they knew how to knock.
oh no.
But it's probably Mercedes or Orsik.
I hope so. I'll open the door a little bit. Who do I see? Jin first, right?
I mean, you see a motley gang of adventurers that have attempted to change their appearance. It takes you a second actually to recognize Jen with the mask off and clothing
Sorry,
change.
I don't know
but the
you.
other two,
I'll close the door.
and the door closes in your face.
Kai, wait.
This really good-looking dude. kind of look familiar. The eyes look similar, but I don't know. We all have eyes, right? So
I mean, most people do, but it wasn't an owl bear. That's what's important.
Orsik is gonna say loud enough so that they can hear through the door. Kai, it's us.
Hi, us.
Open the door.
Okay, I'll open the door.
I'll quickly rush in and wrap my arms around Kai and be like, Kai, it's me. Did we fool you?
So fooled. I'll hug you a little bit tight.
Yeah.
Orsik is gonna shut the door behind him when everyone is in. We have some good news and some bad news. I'll start with the bad news. Siegfried is incarcerated.
What?
Pestle, he found him in the watchtower with the guards. They think that he did something, which we know he didn't.
It doesn't change the fact that someone's dead.
Right, but it isn't Siegfried's fault.
What is the good news?
Well, the good news is that Jin is a handsome man, as we found out.
Oh, yeah.
That's your good news?
Yes.
Listen, we're in a bit of a pickle. I'm trying to find the bright side to all this madness.
While this conversation is happening, Siegfried, there's a knock at the door to the room you are in. And go and roll a con check for me. You're holding up fair this time around with what's going on. Sometimes your consciousness has faded early. This time, especially with the newfound strength and hope that you have been given, you're trying to push through, and kind of pale-skinned, taller, sleek individual who's been questioning you goes to the door, and you're able to hear a bit of this conversation as it echoes throughout this chamber you're in. And you see kind of this, probably about the same height. It looks like male by body build, but with the lights, it's hard to make out more of this figure. You're trying to whisper, though again, this stone chamber carries it. You hear him say, "Our operative seems to have been compromised. We may need to move up the timeline." And you see this individual kind of nod and kind of give a glance back towards you, though she seems to be assuming that you're kind of not with it. And you hear her reply back, "Or what about his associates?" And he kind of thinks for a second. You hear him reply, "They know more information, but they're not on to us yet." She gives a nod, and the door closes as he exits the room, as she turns back towards you and begins grabbing more items off her cart to continue the line of questioning. We're going to take an early break there.
This is
So-
interesting.
Yeah.
They've been torturing Siegfried? Oh, no.
Damn.
That is a little glimpse into what's been happening for you guys.
Oh, no.
I feel bad.
I do, too. We're here with us having goofy shenanigans while one of our party members has been tortured in the background.
We
What
need to
magic.
find him a therapist.
We're gonna save you once we figure out Tasha's kiss and take a bath and have shenanigans. We'll get right to you.
Mhm.
As you guys are discussing possible plans, familiar footfalls of two armored guards walking down the hallway stop somewhere within the vicinity of your room. Mercedes and Jen. You begin to hear conversation of what sounds like these two guards talking, and you hear one of them say, "So did you hear what's happening to the suspect?" No, I haven't. What's new?" "I hear they're planning to transfer him up north, possibly to Waterdeep, or maybe even Neverwinter to stand trial. I guess they got a pretty good confession out of someone." So what are we still doing?" Boss thinks that maybe we can find the others he was involved with, even though it's kind of consensus that they all ran away before we closed the gates." Okay. Yeah, so We're gonna keep on patrol looking, but I think they got the one who murdered that guy. Apparently that dwarven woman's been pretty helpful talking about it. And they want to get that weird snake folk, that monstrous bastard, out of here. But you're a monstrous race. Nah, us orcs are civilized in these parts now.
So
Those
this
snake folk,
monster
though, I've
race-
only seen a couple in my life, and they're never any good news up here. And you hear footsteps continue as they continue walking down the hallway, and their voices fade.
Can I do an insight
Yeah.
check? It felt like a setup.
Okay, go ahead and
Ooh.
make
Me too, me
insight. I'll
too.
say at disadvantage for both of you because you were only hearing voices and you could not see any of their mannerisms on their face. It's difficult to kind of try to read a voice. Definitely doesn't appear scripted of any sorts. And the subordinate one was genuinely surprised about hearing some of this.
Me and Mercedes will relay this to the party that didn't catch that.
We need to act fast.
Mhm.
Yes.
They're probably gonna move him out tonight. We gotta get him out.
Well, how's the question?
What if we
Oh.
all just say that she killed him? It doesn't have to be true. We just have to convince them that maybe it wasn't Siegfried.
The commotion is the murder. She's the one who did it. And she ran into us and dropped her poison. And I'll point to his leg. Your leg!
We can also plant one of the poison vials inside the room.
That's where Mr. Orsik comes in. You could sneak in and do that.
And so when we tell them, hey, we don't know what was going on, but we're pretty sure she murdered him. Also, she threw a vial of acid at Jin. There was a big scuffle. We heard a lot of noise. We were just trying to find our child, who, by the way, is still missing. What are your guards doing about that? As we all end up in jail. And then
We just
We-
all bust out
Then
together.
we break out of jail, because at that point I'm okay with a jailbreak.
Okay. Well, we should go now and pull out of my bag one of the vials of the spider poison and give it to Orsik.
Thank
And we
you.
like sprinkle a little, so it looks like she used it in a scuffle.
Make sure that the hallways are cleared so that nobody sees us doing this. I gave Orsik all the vials, so I don't have any evidence on me.
Ooh, me too. I
Nice.
better pull out mine as well.
All right. Wish me luck.
To confirm, Orsk is going off on his own, and the other 4 of you are going to the guard post.
We should just go find one and be like, hey, we heard y'all wanted information.
Let's make sure our story
Fine.
is correct so we're all on the same page.
We knocked on the door to ask if they had seen our child.
Mhm.
There was no answer, but we heard the sounds of a struggle inside. So
Yes.
we thought maybe
Mhm.
someone was in trouble. We have a duty to help others, you know. So we had felt an obligation to make sure that the people inside were okay. When we opened the door, we witnessed a struggle between the man and the woman, during which the woman threw a vial of acid which injured Jin. Afterwards, we ran out into the hallway to try to get away and get help.
Whilst this is happening, Siegfried, you begin to feel in the middle of one of your sessions in the main room the effect that's been on you this whole time, the kind of fuzzy feeling you've had ever since they brought you down here, suddenly begins to fade. You have a better grasp and a better sense of time and place and such. She notices this too, and stops mid-sentence as she's asking you one of the familiar questions you've been asked probably 1,000 times by now. She kind of tilts her head for a second and looks up at the observation deck. As you can tell, the figures up there that you still have never gotten a good look at have sensed this too. And she calls out, "Esme! Esme!" As she is actually currently still holding a short sword and looks very pissed. And you see coming through this male figure once again, and he's looking down, not making any direct eye contact with her. "Ma'am, the casters attempting to uphold the dilation field, seem to have let it go. I don't know why, but as of now, there is no dilation field anymore." And she kind of straightens her back and puts her shoulders down. "Esme, get them down here now." And he runs off into the hallway as she turns and looks back at you. "Well, Mr. Linhart will have to cut this session a little bit short, Guides would take you back to your cell momentarily as she sets the short sword that was in her hand down and exits out into the hallway, as you are left still pinned against this wall by the unknown force, but with a slightly clearer head than you have in quite some time. And you glance up, you seem to be alone in this room right now. No one is in the observation deck. No guards have come in. Your interrogator is gone.
I attempt to step away from the wall.
Go ahead and make a strength check at disadvantage for me.
Come on.
Unfortunately, this wall holds on to you. And as you struggle for the next couple minutes, two familiar guards enter and begin to pull you off the wall themselves and take you back to your cell, unless you resist.
Oh, would I resist or not at this point? You know what? I think I would resist this one time. Since
Okay.
Sounds like I could make a break for it finally.
Give me an athletics check at disadvantage.
Could I enter a rage so I can get it at
Sure. I will allow that.
Not this time. 18.
Nice.
You take your left arm and rip it out of the grasp of the one on your left side, to his utter shock. You cannot quite get out of the grapple on the right side, but for a moment your left arm is free.
I'm going to strike the guy that is trying to hold me.
Okay. Go ahead and make an attack.
Soft 20.
That will hit. You take your free left arm and you punch this man straight in the face. The cheekbones and maybe even his jaw just crack as you hit his head back against the wall. And his face is bloodied up. That is a 18 to hit.
That is a hit.
You feel in the back of your neck a small prick of a needle. I need you to roll a Constitution saving throw for me.
Is this against poison?
It is not. You stave off the majority of the effect from the substance that they injected into you, and you are not knocked unconscious from this.
I'm going to pull the needle out of my neck and I'm going to use it as a fucking weapon.
Okay.
Ooh.
First. Natural 20.
Ooh.
Hey!
Okay, go ahead and roll 2d4 plus your strength modifier.
Alright. Oh, that didn't have the other d4. Wait a second.
You look back at the guy who's still like attempting to recover from being hit in the face. You take this needle and you stab it straight into his throat, and you see blood begin to pour out from his throat as he and he falls
Damn.
over.
Oh no, I stop him before he falls over and rip his neck out with my teeth.
Oh.
As you rip his neck out, and you, in this kind of blind rage you have now entered, turn back and look at the individual behind you. He is terrified of you. Doesn't seem to be trained nor prepared for this situation. And he takes off and begins to run down the hallway.
Oh fuck no, I'm gonna stop him before he gets there.
You do get an attack of opportunity as he leaves your
Oh
melee
yes, I would love
range.
to get an attack of opportunity. That's 15 to hit.
15 will hit. You take this needle out of this other guy's throat, rip his throat out, turn around and look at him with this rage in your eyes. He attempts to leave and you stab him straight in the back with this needle. And as he begins to run and you begin to chase him, he collapses unconscious from the effects of the medication.
God damn, Siegfried, you're
Yep.
an animal.
Lift him up, flip him over, and just tear his neck out.
You hear from both directions down this hallway many, many heavily armored drow begin making their way towards you. Some with long swords and shields. The front line have these spiked chains wrapped around their arms on both sides. Kind of whip the chains, they begin to light up with this dark black and dark purple necrotic energy. They are 3 by 2, the front lines of each group, full tower shields and swords marching in time straight towards you.
What looks to be a path that looks out of this place?
Without this field in place for the first time or seeing these hallways, one behind you, where we'll say group 2 is coming from, goes about 30 feet before turning 90 degrees. The other one in front of you, where group 1 is approaching, appears to be about 100-foot hallway or so that appears to end in a staircase leading upwards. And based on your knowledge, those stairs are probably your best bet.
How heavy was the guard that I ripped the neck out of?
Probably about 140 pounds or so.
Good enough. I lift him and throw him at the group coming from the stairs. It's had to knock them down.
Go ahead and roll a strength check for me with advantage since you are raging.
Could that be athletics?
Sure. I will.
All right, athletics with advantage is going to be A.
You, in a rage, chuck this body straight towards them. They are unaffected by this, and the body, as if it was a ping pong ball, just bounces off the shields, and they march over it. They are now within range, and the 6 ones with the shields are going to attempt to tackle you to the ground. This is going to be athletics. You avoid the first couple very easily, knock them out of the way against the wall, and 3 others grab you on different ends and pin you to the ground. A 19 to hit.
Yep.
Is a 17 to hit.
Yep.
And that is a 21 to hit.
Yep, all 3 hit.
Okay, that will be 14 points of psychic damage as these individuals whip their chains around you, and the spikes on the ends or throughout these chains begin digging into your arms and your legs and your torso. Roll a con save for me again. You fall unconscious as the effects of these chains take effect.
I'm on. No, I'm on. So close.
And the light fades.